Welcome to Prodigy Sportive Adaptations. P.S.A. podcast is an unconventional podcast that challenges the audience to think outside the box using real-life experiences, clever narratives, original quotes, and the creative use of satire in order to break the audience free from negative paradigms and push them towards their own personal growth. This is by no means a method to condemn or bash the audience, but instead encourage and showcase a different perspective that might not have been seen before. P.S.A. is designed to showcase to the listeners that the power of the mind is not a joke, and if a person can learn to control their mind and their thoughts, they will ultimately control their life. This podcast serves as a means of entertainment and educational purposes only, and not a replacement for therapy or any other type of professional help that the audience may desire. Okay, y'all, what's going on? We are back for the first part in a two-part series. We are in and off the season. I know season 4 seemed like it and felt like it's been going on forever. You know, we were doing season 4 pre-COVID and post-COVID, as you see. Well, not really post-COVID because it's still going on. But we are in the end of the season. It's so crazy. It's been like this season's been going on forever, but we are finally here, and I have two guests with me. But before I get to that, I told you I was going to do another Zoom, and I actually got one more after this, but I told you I was going to do another Zoom for y'all. So we got to go on today's topic. I think it's one that's a little different, but I like it, and I like the series we're going with. So, okay, today's title for today's episode is World Changers Part 1. The meme reads, you know you're doing something right when people in other countries are inspired by what you're doing. All right. Inspiration comes from God is equipping, protecting, and readying you for fight for the mission He has given you to change the world. This was our page on Martian. And another quote that I like, this says, don't wait for the inspiration, be the inspiration. Okay. So I have two guests. We're going to start with at the top, and then we're going to go down. So can you introduce yourself? What's your name? Where are you from?
Yeah, my name's, I don't know who's at the top, but on my screen it's me. Sorry. My name's Raeesa, and I'm from London, and I'm half of team Where's My Lemonade, and the next half will introduce herself.
Okay.
Hey, so I'm Jamie. I'm also from London, and I am the other half of Where's My Lemonade. And we'll hopefully explain what that means as we go along, because I know it might sound a bit strange at first. But yep, so we're from the other side of the globe talking to you now, and we're really excited to be here.
Okay, so when I first seen it and I saw the name Where's My Lemonade, I was like, okay, what is this about? But me, the type of person I am and creative wise, I like stuff where you like, okay, what's this about? And so that's what I really like that. So can you tell the people about what it is? What is Where's My Lemonade?
The way we started, Jamie and myself were super into self-development. And we met a few years ago. We actually both attended like a huge self-development seminar based in London. And we never actually met there, but somebody created like a WhatsApp group for all the Londoners that went to the event, because there was like 15,000 people. So it was a crazy amount of people. They created this WhatsApp group. And there were so many people of loads of different ages on it. And everyone kind of lived kind of everywhere. And London's a huge city. Then I think Jamie reached out and was like, hey, does anyone live in this part of London? Is anyone around this age? Because we feel like we can connect. And I live like 10 minutes away. And we're the exact same age. And we met like the week after, and we connected instantly. And became super good friends. And this kind of with mental health issues, we connected a lot on that, and then that's where the idea of the book came about, and we released it this year, June 12th.
Yeah. And so for us, a big part of this book is we wanted to inspire people and to normalize mental health, because one thing that we both found is like we consider ourselves pretty normal people. Like Rice is a pharmacist, I work in investments. We have pretty normal lives. We're quite young. We have really cool lives, but we've both struggled, like Raeesa says, with mental health in some way, whether it be depression or anxiety or whatever. And we just got to that point where we wanted people to feel inspired and like there's hope. like things can get better for them. Like if you don't think there's a light at the end of the tunnel, well, we're here to tell you there is one. Mm-hmm. And so that's exactly like Raeesa said, what we did. We pulled together 17 people from across the globe, and we asked them each to write an inspiring story to form a chapter. And so we've got these 17 stories which make up this book. Each one's from a different person, different background, different demographic, sometimes different country they're from. Make lemonade. We're going to make lemonade. We're going to feel positive. We're going to change the way we view mental health, and we're going to thrive. And that's basically what we're about.
Okay. Well, I definitely think that it was a great idea. As I looked into it, I was like, wow, that's definitely, it definitely, one thing is when you want people to get into what you're doing, it's always good to get people from different walks and different of life. And so for me, that's kind of how I do here. Like with P.S.A, I have people like y'all that's on here, you know, from London. And then I have people, you know, it doesn't matter as far as guests. Like if you look at the guests, none of them match. And that's what I like, because at the end of the day, P.S.A is, like I tell people, the other side of mental health, because although we do cover depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, all those different, you know, things, we also talk about just how you view things. I know me personally, as I've said it once before, I've said it again, you know, I overcame depression and anxiety since I was like a little kid. It wasn't, you know, and unfortunately the thing with mental health, sometimes we diagnose ourselves, but I actually was diagnosed by a therapist. So it wasn't like I just, you know, read something on Google. And that's something else I got a little tip. Stay away from Google whenever you feel in some type of way, because Google will tell you about to die of a headache. So don't rely on Google. But definitely I like what you all are doing, and we definitely gonna get into it more as we get along. So when you hear the word or phrase world changers, what comes to mind?
Ooh.
Well, I'll tell you this. When you said we were in that title, I was like, yeah, I'll take some of that. I don't know what it means to you, but I'll take some. World changers for me. I would say world changers is the people who are willing to step out of their comfort zone and make a small difference, or even a big difference, to somebody else. And I think it's something you have to do through bravery. I think you've got to be vulnerable. This book made us more vulnerable than ever, because you've got to talk frankly about mental health in a book like this. You can't be like, hey, my life's great. You have to say, I'm struggling, it's pretty messy over here. So I think world changers are people who are willing to take the step, to be brave, to help other people.
All right. You want to add to that? Are you good? You look like, oh, she said it.
She I'm like, how am I supposed to beat that?
Right. Okay. Now, when you hear the word inspiration, so then you can answer that one. When you hear the word inspiration, what comes to mind?
Well, I think obviously over the years, the most obvious thing that people think of is if someone like famous, or if someone, you know, who's made a stamp through history is inspiring. But as I've gotten older, I think inspiration comes from people or places that are a lot closer to home, and within my circle. So you know, when I was going through my mental health issues, when I was, you know, suffering through depression and everything, I found the things that inspired me the most were my friends like Jamie, who had been through it themselves. So I think, you know, everyone has their own take of what inspiration is, but for me, it's just like finding that connection with someone and kind of wanting to follow in their path, whether they're someone famous or whether they're your best friend. Right. I think that's what it means to me, to be fair.
Okay, I definitely like it. And then the good thing about y'all's book is, because you did, even if you didn't reach out to people across the globe, it was good to see that even in other parts of the country, other world, excuse me, people still suffer from the same stuff. Like, this is not just limited to a person that's from, you know, Italy, or a person who's from, like myself, St. Louis, Missouri, or a person who's linked from, it doesn't matter. Everybody is affected by it in some way. So it's good to, even if it isn't you, it's a family member, it's a friend. You knew somebody. If you didn't have depression or anxiety, or, you know, low self-esteem, anything, you know somebody that did. And it just makes it help bring awareness to it. And that's why I like when you said the word vulnerability, because you have to be vulnerable in a situation like this, because if not, it's like, who can you help if you're not vulnerable?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I think that's the main thing. Okay.
Can I be really honest? When we published this book, it was quite scary at first, because if you can imagine, like, you know, you struggle with things behind closed doors, and it's quite nice keeping them there. Like, you don't really want to know you don't want the people you work with or your relatives or, like, you know, friends who are further out in your circle to know about it. And so both of us were a little bit anxious to press publish on this. But then what changed it is the responses we've got. Like, you know, you put it out there in fear, and then the people come back and they're like, I feel the same. This has changed me, or I resonate with chapter 3. I resonate with chapter 5. Like, chapter 7's really helped me. Like, it's just been mind-blowing, because it's exactly what you said, which is we all think that we're alone in this, but actually everybody's got their own, you know, we struggle in very similar ways. We're all very different. You know, like you said, you're completely different to us. You know, you're a guy, we're female, you live in a different part of the world, but you've had depression, I've had depression, Raeesa's had depression. We've all struggled in the same way, despite having such different lives. So I really totally agree with what you said.
Yes, it's good. It's and I can't wait to read it. That's what I can't wait for. That's the main thing. I know things are kind of delayed because of the COVID situation, but we'll get through that. All right. So I went ahead and defined world changer, and I actually got this from Urban Dictionary. It says a person who has a deep inner desire to contribute to making the world a better place, be it through political, infrastructure, technological, or sociological advances, and puts such impulses to action in order to see change become a reality, no matter how small. All right. And then inspiration, it says the process of being mentally stimulated to do something or feel something, especially to do something creative. So I definitely feel as though I told you, if it comes to creativity, the title, that's number one. Now, with the book and the title, you said make lemons, take lemons, turn to lemonade. Now, when you got your title together, as you know, for authors, creators, anybody out there, did you research it first before using it? Because, you know, sometimes I'm gonna ask Raeesa that one. Did you all research it first, or did you just kind of like, we just gonna go with it?
Yeah, so I think the hardest part of the whole book was getting a name and the branding. A lot of the times that me and Jamie met up, we would like, okay, let's go to a nice cafe in the middle of the city and let's just write, like, use all their electricity and write for hours. And literally had like a million plugs everywhere, everything charging. And I think the day we left the name for last because we wanted to get all our content first. We thought it would inspire us. And I think I have a picture somewhere on my phone. It's just, we took the biggest table in the whole cafe and there's just like papers everywhere and scribbles on all the papers. And it's just like chaos. And it was ideas. We were like, okay, what do we want the book to feel like? And, you know, being British, we love tea here. So we're like, oh, is it going to feel like a nice hot sip of tea? No, that sounds cheesy. What is it going to, you know? So we were just throwing around ideas. And I think Jamie was kind of saying that, okay, I want it to be like a vibe of the light at the end of the tunnel, because that's what you want to reach at the end of the day. And all I said is that I wanted the book to be bright yellow, because when you walk past a bookshelf or when you walk into a bookstore, like, I want it to stand out. Right. I know we shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but if something like that stands out, go for it. So I think after bouncing around ideas and wanting to pull our hair out, we ended up with, we like the, you know, age-old phrase, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade, but obviously we didn't want to use that. So we just wanted to play up on words. And I think we were feeling super frustrated at the time. So in our heads, we were like, oh my God, if we're supposed to make lemonade, how the hell do we get our lemonade? And yeah, and then we're like, why don't we just name it Where's My Lemonade? And that's how it came about, really.
Okay. I like I said, I like it. I think the best titles come from just like you just laughing and playing, or just like when you try to overthink it. And I learned that with when I first started my first season, with a lot of the titles I was doing, I was trying to overthink a lot of them, but when I just let them flow, they just sound so much better. And what I like about the title is kind of like how I do my episodes. I always have something where I want the audience to be like, what's this about? Like, yeah. Really? And you know, you made a comment, and I think it relates to people, even when you talked about like we shouldn't judge a book by its cover. But if and you said because of the bright yellow on the bookshelf, but even if you look at a person, somebody who's we shouldn't judge book by its cover, but sometimes those people, even with people who are very, like, I guess you could say extra and very like out of the ordinary, that stand out, we're going to notice them before anybody else. So even if we're wrong, it's something that they're doing that we have to look at. And even with the title, you never know. Somebody might thought y'all story was about just maybe a children's story. You never know. Where's my lemonade? Then you get to read it, and now they didn't felt inspired. They left inspired. You just never know. So it's crazy. Now let me ask this, Jamie, and whoever else want to answer, right? It doesn't matter. Do you think it will be a part 2?
Oh, we get asked this so much. So basically, we feel like we can't not do a part 2 because we've been asked for one so many times. So many people have said, "Is there another one?" And we've also both got this itch inside us to do another one. But we have agreed not to rush it out because we want to enjoy the first book. I mean, the first book only came out in June.
Okay.
And this book, everything's going to charity for this book. So we really want to make the most of it, push it as far as we can. It's traveled the world. We want it to go further. But once this book's we can't avoid it. Too many people have asked for it.
Right. Yeah. You got to deliver, because sometimes it's one of those things where it's like, should we just, because sometimes they say it's better just to leave that one and have you wanting more. But then it's the other times where it's like, we gotta deliver. So it's like, I'm sure you in that middle, like, what are we gonna do? But you're like, nah, we're gonna go ahead.
We were literally just talking about this like an hour ago. Because this is new for both of us. Like Jamie mentioned before, she's in investments, I'm in pharmacy, and both full-time jobs. So getting the first one out was really, really stressful. But once it was out, we were like, whoa, we did this. And it was an amazing feeling. And we literally thought, oh, like 2 people are going to buy this book. And it will be like my dad and like her fiance. That would be it. But that wasn't the case. And it blew up and it was awesome. And we, I think within the first few weeks, we got a radio interview here. And then things really blew up from there. So that really inspired us to want to do another one. I think it was always in the plan, and we worked together really well, which was really good. But yeah, I think we want to, but as Jamie said, we don't want to rush it. We want to enjoy this moment. And I think most of this book we couldn't even celebrate because we launched it during the pandemic. So we didn't do it. Whatever. So after lockdown, we're going to celebrate it, and then
we're going to celebrate this. Yeah.
No,
it'll be 6 months late, but we'll celebrate.
Yeah.
No, you deserve it, especially with a book like that, and just anything, because so many people created so much creativity had no choice but to come out during this time because lockdown. I remember celebrities was on live together in their houses. They was doing parties together, acting like we was having a party. I've seen people blow up that were like DJs who were doing 12-hour-long sessions, and it was a lot going on. It was a lot. And do you think that because of the lockdown, you were forced to, your creativity kind of like jumped out because of it?
Yeah, I mean, it took us like 18 months to get this book together. And then we didn't know when we were going to release it. I think we just wanted to perfect it before we did.
Right.
And then lockdown happened. And I think, Jamie, you were just like, you know what, is this not like the perfect time to release it? Because this is when people are going to need it the most.
Yeah. Yeah. And also it was just a case of, for us, we were like, right, we're going to do this. We're going to pull the trigger. We're going to make it happen. The funny thing is we set a launch date when we weren't ready. We said we're going to launch it 12th of June and we weren't ready because we were like, this is the, like, what's the saying? If you want to take the island, burn the ships. So we burnt the ships. Have you heard that saying before?
I have.
Yeah. So if you want to take the island, burn the ships. So we burnt the ships down. We set the date. We told people we were launching it this date, and so we had to put it together. There were points where we were quite stressed out with it because it is a lot of work. But it's when you see the end product, you think, hey, so worth it. Right,
and that's the thing, because I've heard the saying, because it's funny. It's funny because we're all creatives, but we all have regular jobs. Because she's a pharmacist. You're what was it again?
I work in investments.
Work in investments. Okay, so I know you got some money. And then I'm a teacher. But then we all have these creative outlets for mental health, and it just goes to show you that for the people who I love to see that, because the people who are scared to get started or feel like, oh, I have to work this job, you can make it happen. You just have to
Yeah.
find time. And personally for me, although I hate it, but when I have a lot to do is when I have create the best content. I don't know if it's just the extra pressure or what. And then, you know, of course, with the whole COVID thing, you kind of you're limited. Now, here's the thing. If you ever watch my story, because see, I live in Houston and Houston is in Texas, and Texas is very, how you say, if you looked at you wouldn't even think COVID existed if you looked at my story, because Texas is literally wear your mask in and take it off and then you good. Like they have the 6 feet with like at restaurants and stuff, but it looks normal. It's just people.
So are people not following the social distancing and stuff?
Well, they are, but it's the thing is they are following it, but it's just that Texas is because you know how the United States is Republican and then of course Democrats. So Texas is a Republican state.
Yeah.
And because they are a Republican state, they feel as though, you know, they do what they want. Yeah, I'm just
okay.
That's
Controversial.
the nice way I'm gonna say it. All right. Okay. So now I got some information from a website talking about world changers, and I have a few things that they listed, and we're gonna kind of go dissect them together. So the first one says commitment to success through integrity. It says integrity is defined as the quality of being honest and fair in a state of being complete or whole. It said without honesty and consistent desire to understand and act on what is fair, it is impossible to become a true world changer. Actions that appear to benefit others must derive from an honest motivation to help. Otherwise, the real beneficiary, however hidden, becomes the individual. So basically, you know, kind of what we're doing here, we are committed to success. We are trying to help other people. We, you know, in some way. And sometimes what people fail to realize is when you're sharing your gift, even if it's not necessarily help, it's still helping, if that makes sense. Because for people, maybe your gift is music. You know, you never know. Even though you think, okay, people, I love this song. Sometimes songs get people through things, or you know, a lot of songs are tell stories. So maybe that story, you know, puts you in a happy place. So either way, your gift is definitely needed. The second one, which I think I like, and it kind of goes with both of us, it says desire to see results. It says many individuals are naturally honest and fair, and they must ensure these characteristics can be witnessed through their actions. So what is it when it comes to results? And what I like is we kind of jumped ahead of it, because you said that you put a date out, said we're going to drop it this day. So do you think that it's maybe beneficial to say, okay, I'm gonna put this date set in stone so that we have no choice but to finish it on this date? And that's with anything. You think that's the best way to go about it? I like it, but you know.
Raeesa answer. I'll let Raeesa offer her opinion on this one, but mine for me is the same. I feel like, yeah, do that. So what's your opinion on this one, Raeesa?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm the type of person, I don't know if it's because of our like careers and our job roles, that I like being organized. I like goals to hit. I think we did have a few ideas of some earlier dates which didn't quite work out, but that wasn't our fault. But yeah, no, I think that really helps. I think when you set yourself a goal and you stick to it, and with something, especially because we had 17 different people we had to organize, and we had to get all the content in, and then we had it's pretty chaotic. So to have that just one thing that was a constant just made all that insanity seem like it was still going in the right direction.
Yeah. Right.
So that definitely, as stressful as it was, it almost eased the stress knowing that that was it. Right. So yeah, it was
okay.
I feel like if you don't have it, well, for me personally, if I don't have a deadline, I have excuses. So if I don't give myself a deadline on something, I will drag my feet and I'll dawdle and I'll, you know, take my time. When I give myself deadlines, that's when the best part of me comes out. And that's with all parts. So with the book, like if I didn't give myself a deadline, we'd probably still be doing it now. So I just feel like, yeah, for me, deadline, say you're going to do it, put it out there in the world. People know that on this day, you're going to just show up, and then you have to make yourself show up.
Okay, I love that. You got to make yourself show up. I think that's great, especially me personally as a writer and not an author yet, but it's coming. I think it was just a lot of definitely busy. And but again, it's kind of the whole thing with excuses. So I think y'all done kind of inspired me to just go ahead, put a date out so it has to be done by that day. Instead of like, well, I got this, I got that, I got this, I got that. And then the beauty is this season is about to end. So that's good. It give me a little time, a few weeks of free, and I'll be able to kind of get some things going on. So we'll see how that goes, and I'll let you know how it goes. All right.
Yeah.
The last one, it says aversion to control. It said world changers have big goals that require concentrated action plans. A tendency toward controlling the execution of these action plans breaks trust and builds resentment among teammates. It says instead, take note from the Wiseman's group research around an approach to leadership. It says the concept of multipliers. It says multipliers are leaders who use their intelligence to amplify the smarts and capabilities of people around them. When these leaders walk into a room, light bulbs go on, ideas begin to flow, and problems get solved. It says that rather than trying to control to ensure people finish their work, these leaders communicate and manage in a way that inspires people to stretch themselves and surpass expectations. So although you all have a date going, which I think is great, it's like certain people, have you ever been around somebody who come in the room and it's just like they get to talking and you just get inspired instantly? And just based off of kind of what the book is, I think that will definitely do that. How many chapters is it?
17.
17. 17 is number of victory. I think that it definitely
Is it really? Is it really the number of
Yes.
victory?
Yes.
We didn't know that.
We're going to use that on our Instagram.
We're going to use that. That's our post, right? Raeesa, that's our post coming up. We didn't know that. 17th the number of victory.
Mm-hmm. I can send it to you.
I like that. Yeah, send that to us.
Yeah. So somebody reading that hopefully will not, if anything, even if they may still struggle with their mental health, because some people, it might be a lifelong fight. Some people, like I know myself, it was definitely for those years, and now it's so crazy. And I told somebody the other day, like, I'm so good, it's not even funny. Like, I learned to live in the moment, and I think a lot of times people don't know how to do that. And of course, it's definitely a struggle. But when you live in the moment, it just make life a lot.
Yeah.
It makes it a lot better. All right, so moving on to moving on. So we already talked about part 2. We talked about being world changers and all these things. So now with this is a random question really with the part 2, because now y'all on camera, y'all didn't admit it to it now. So with the part 2 coming, do you think that you're going to reach out to more people across the world, or how do you think about how you're going to do that?
Yeah.
That's our plan. It's just trying to execute that, basically. I think that's why we really, really want to take our time with this one. It's growing, and we're learning. We're super new with social media. We have our own personal social medias and Instagrams and stuff like that, but that's different, when it comes to this kind of stuff and branding and trying to reach out to your audience, trying to make them feel involved. Obviously, we're trying to raise as much as we can for charity as well, and just trying to connect and build a community almost. It's really difficult, especially when you have a 9-to-5 and other stuff going on in your own personal life, but we're so determined to do it. And I think one thing that we agreed on today is that we want to make sure we build that really good foundation and that community, so that will benefit obviously us, but everyone within the community. And then when we do release the second book, hopefully it will be something that will spread a bit more. And that's why we love talking to, say, you on this podcast, because we're from, it just shows what this kind of stuff can do. So yeah, we would love for it to go. I think last week we found out we sold a copy in Japan, and I don't know anyone there, but I'm super happy with it.
Yeah. And so even the authors, like you mentioned, the authors for the next book. So we actually got over subscribed for this one. So we had over 60 people say they're interested for this book. So we had to filter them out. That was like a lot of hard work. And although the second book's just a conversation at the moment, so many people have come forward and said, when you do the second book, I want to be part of it. So we're definitely going to have our work cut off picking people. But yeah, we want, like Raeesa said, as much of a community, as much kind of connection as possible. So it's going to be really exciting to see who we end up with, because we get to see into people's lives with this. It's amazing. Like, you know, we haven't told you much about the chapters, but when you get your copy, you'll see this. Like, you really delve into people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
People you might, you know, we haven't physically met a lot of our authors.
Right.
And it's amazing because you delve into their lives. And so with the second book, it's going to be really exciting to get to see who we get to pick, because it's just an amazing way to share things with people that you might not even ever physically meet.
Right. Definitely. I think it's great. Now, last thing before we move into the tips and scenarios. So when it comes to the charity, okay, that's the main thing. I had seen that on the page and I saw the charity had a big following, and that's not your all's charity, is it? Or is it just one you just donate to?
Yeah, it's one that we just donate to.
Okay. And what was the name of it?
They're called the Mental Health Foundation.
Okay. All right. Tips and scenarios. So as always, I have tips and scenarios for my people that are in college, and what would be a tip? I have a few for those who are in college right now, and they say, you know, I have this passion, whatever it is, and I know it's not just for where I live. I know it's for the world. I definitely say that if you feel that way, 9 times out of 10, you have what it takes. I don't believe God gives us these desires for no reason. I don't feel like they're in us for a reason. So I definitely think that your calling is typically, in most cases, bigger than you. And, you know, and so I know a lot of times people, like myself, I was like, you know, I'm just from, you know, where I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. I'm just like, it's just me, you know. How can what I'm doing reach all these people? And as a little kid, it's so crazy. Maybe around 7, 8, whatever. I never thought it would be like this now. So do you all, and I'll start with Jamie first. Do you all have any ideas or maybe just tips and scenarios for people that are in college right now who maybe, you know, feel like they are a world changer in a sense?
Yeah, I do. And I'll tell you where I get this from. So I'm 30. And I look, if I could go back and give myself one piece of advice, it would be exactly what I'd like to tell your people, which is just go for it. Like, shoot harder, shoot bigger, just go wild with your dreams. Like, chase them harder than you've ever chased them before, because we always fear so much about what we think could happen. We fear that we're going to fail. We fear that it's not going to work out. We fear that we're going to embarrass ourselves. And I can tell you, as somebody who's like aged through that like that never happens. Basically, always give everything. So what I would say to people is, whatever you're thinking for yourself, think even bigger, and then think bigger than that, and think bigger than that, and then shoot for that. And there is no downside whatsoever.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah, like I think my hardest time was when I graduated, because, you know, when you're in college, everything's set out for you. They tell you what to do, they tell you when to do it by. And I was lucky with pharmacy, you know, you get your master's degree done, and then you have a whole clinical year set out for you. And then I qualified, and I was like, now what? You know, spent all that time focusing and studying and, you know, trying my best. And then I was kind of left to face the world on my own. And I think that's when my mental health struggles kind of started, because I felt lost. I had all my achievements. I have a great family, you know, we're comfortable. I haven't struggled like a lot in life. And that's the thing about depression and anxiety. It doesn't pick certain people. It goes for everyone. You can have the perfect life and you can still feel like that. And that was really confusing to me, because I thought, whoa, okay, now I'm a qualified pharmacist, but why do I feel so bad about it? So I think, you know, having that mindset and getting through it purely through being proactive, reading, therapy, you know, I never saw myself as a writer. I never saw myself as someone who would ever release a book. It was never in my mind or in my future plans. Until I started suffering from mental health problems. And then I just thought, This is something that's got to be done. I never thought I'd have the time to do it, especially like during this pandemic. Working in healthcare is crazy.
Right.
It's exhausting, but at the end of the day, you still come home, you still find the time to do this because it's going to inspire other people, it's going to help others.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say to everyone, those kind of years when you're in college may feel the hardest, or you may feel like, okay, I'm getting all this done, but where do I go after? Trust me, if you put your mind to something, it's gonna happen. It's gonna be hard,
That's just life.
there's gonna be a lot of ups and downs. But as long as you have that in your head, and as long as you want that, the universe wants it for you, and it's gonna work with you, and that's all you have to keep believing.
Right. Okay. Definitely good stuff. All right, so now we're ending off with my favorite segment called Game Time. Now, every game is centered around the topic and the guest. So if you don't get it right, it's okay, because the game is called All Around the World. So I'm gonna name landmarks from different parts of the world. And I made it a little easier because I have like one or the other, so you can just kind of, is it here, is it there, and you're gonna tell me where it is. All right. So I guess I only got like 5. It's not that many.
Okay.
All right. So the Statue of Liberty, is that in New York or LA?
New York. New York.
Okay. The Great Sphinx at Giza, is that in Egypt or is that in Rome?
Egypt.
Okay.
Come on, these are easy.
Okay.
Crank it up. Come on, crank it up.
All right. The Big Ben.
Oh.
London, maybe?
Okay. The Taj Mahal.
India.
Okay. La Sagrada Familia.
Can you give us a clue?
What does it look like?
It's kind of like a Coliseum, but it's not a Coliseum. Sagrada Familia, that is in either I don't want to give it away, so I'm gonna say it's either in Russia or Barcelona.
I think it's gonna have to be Russia, isn't it?
All right. One more. I'll do the Empire State Building. Where is that?
New York.
Okay. I guess this was a little easy. Someone said, come on, crack it up.
This was so easy. This was too easy. Maybe we should have thought of some for you.
Maybe so. You know what? This is the first game that was easy, because most games people be like sweating and some more stuff. So okay. All right. So any closing remarks you guys had? This is a great conversation. Anything you want to end off with?
Yeah, no, this was super fun. We really hope that some of you guys do pick up the book. I like to tell people it's kind of like when you go to a sweet shop and it's a pick and mix. So the 17 chapters doesn't mean you have to read it front to back. It just pick what you feel relates to you. And I promise you, we have some amazing stories in there that is worth a read for sure.
Yeah, it's on Amazon, so it ships all over the world from Amazon. And I think closing remarks are, if somebody is struggling with their mental health, you're never alone, because we both felt alone. And now we realize how wrong we were in that, because you're not alone. And hopefully this message and this podcast will help remind people of that.
Okay, it definitely will, because like I said, the numbers is then shot up, so it's good. So more people coming this way, that's good for me, that's good for y'all, and especially people from UK will come this way too. So that's good to know. All right, so as always, I end up with my question, a challenge, and this is just for the audience to do, so that remember y'all can win this. For this month, I'm not doing any gift cards. I'm actually sending you hard cash. All right, of course it's not cash, I can't just send that in the mail, but I'm gonna send you some money. So make sure y'all are participating in the challenges. So my question for the people is, do you think you have what it takes to be a world changer? If so, why not? It's a simple question this week, okay? And make sure you answer that in your story on Instagram or in my DMs, and then I'll post it on my story. So I want to thank Raeesa and I want to thank Jamie for coming through all the way from the UK to talk about the book, Where's My Lemonade? Part 2 coming soon, but you got to read part 1 first. But
Gotta
like,
read part one.
gotta read part one first. But the beauty of it is, like she just said, you don't have to read from front to back. You can just want to start in the middle of it. That works for you. You know, some people are a little different. They might start reading stuff from the end. So who knows? All right, that's all I got. P.S.A. signing out. Always remember, keep your head up like your neck hurt. Remember who you are and make your mind up. Don't let it make you.